Oh my gosh, it's hot.
Yes.
We are headed to Cheaha for another camping trip. We have an extra animal this time. We had to take Bailey, of course, but now we're having to take our cat Alice because if we leave her, she's gonna pee everywhere. So it should be fun, and hopefully we will have better luck this trip. No blown tires and no power outages, but we're excited.
And if we make it, this will be our second trip to the Upper Cheaha campground in 5 attempts.
I forgot to add that Cheaha, where we're going, is also where I had my motorcycle wreck. So we're gonna go back and make good memories over bad ones. Out riding today. I ain't talking to you. We're out riding today, and I wanted to show you this. You can go for a ride? You drink it all. So today is my birthday. We're still up here on Cheaha camping, and my cell phone service has been really in and out, so every once in a while I'll get a notification. And I just saw this comment from somebody, Watson2284, that says, "You are still making money off your accident? Seriously? BS." Let me tell you something. When I started this channel, it was to tell my story of everything that happened, because it was so rare and unheard of, with the initial injury and then the hydrocephalus. So I got tired, not tired, but I was having to tell the story a lot every time I would run into somebody and they would ask about it. So the first video I did where I told my story is now up to over 500,000 views. I had no intention of making money on YouTube when I posted that video. With that said, another reason that I enjoy making YouTube videos is because by me voicing everything that happened, what I went through, by doing that, it's my process of processing everything. It's like I can speak it and communicate it, people receive it, and then I can lay it down and move on. It's just part of my healing process, and I don't expect you to understand that. You don't have to understand that. However, as far as the money goes, I lost my job. I still have not had disability. The money that I've made, I don't even know what the total is. It's, I'd say maybe $2,000 to $3,000 in almost a year. So if you think that that's gross, then you need to look in the mirror and do some self-reflection, because that's a fraction of the money I made when I had my job. And another thing, making content for YouTube is work. I put hours into editing, and like it is actually work. So the fact that you're bothered that I get paid a minuscule amount to post these videos is just kind of stupid in my opinion. And not only that, but it also, when I was in the hospital and early in rehab, there was nobody that I knew I could look to wonder what my future would be like in a year or two. And a lot of the reason that I do this is that with the hope that somebody early on in their injury that is unsure of what their future is, I want to be an encouragement to them, because there's a lot of mental hardship through a recovery like that. It's really hard, and it could help somebody to see. It helps me still when I see someone who's 5, 6, 10 plus years out from their injury. It helps me to look at them, and it's just part of the process. So with the utmost disrespect, you can kindly go for yourself.
Oh, I'm not camera ready.
Y'all have heard me talk about my sister several times. There's the legendary sister,
Roll Tide.
the awesome procurement nurse at UAB.
Procurement.
Procurement. We're in Alabama. We speak stupid. She came to visit us for my birthday, and we're on Bald Rocks. Beautiful. Weather's amazing. Just had a couple deer and a little baby deer with spots run by.
Good boy.
So we have finally had a camping trip with no major hiccups. Our tires are intact, our air conditioner has worked the whole time, everything's been pretty great, the weather has been perfect. And yesterday was September 6th, was my birthday, and I told Lee, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I got 10,000 subscribers on my birthday? And I did. I cannot believe we hit 10,000 subscribers. Nothing happens at 10,000 subscribers, but I don't know, it just it was exciting. So thank y'all for that. Before we left on this trip, I posted on my community channel, asked if anybody had any questions for Lee, since he has not been on a video in a little while. So I'm going to ask Lee a couple of those questions from you guys real quick. First question for Lee is from Barb C. She says, I'd like to know how Lee felt when he first got the news about your accident, especially since I believe you said he was out of town at the time.
I was actually on a camping trip with the guys from my shift at the fire department,
And we had been there for about an hour. I had my truck tent set up, got my mattress blown up, and was up in there on my hands and knees, sweating, dying. It was hot. And I was putting my fitted sheet on the air mattress, and my watch started vibrating because I was getting a phone call. And I looked at it, and it said Life 360. And knowing she was on a motorcycle ride with her dad, my heart sunk, because there's no reason for
So
Life
did you
360
know right then?
There's no reason for Life 360 to call you. So I crawled out of there and started trying to call your dad. And of course it kept going to voicemail because he was on the phone with 911. I was trying to call your phone and it would ring 4 or 5 times, then go to voicemail. So I was hoping the phone had fallen off the handlebars and tumbled down the road and it come in as a wreck. So that's why I kept trying. And then finally, in between attempts, your dad called me. And he didn't talk but a minute and he hung up. And then it wasn't long after that, people from EMS that were already there started calling me. And my heart sunk, and especially the last call I got because I could hear you screaming in the background.
Yeah.
So they asked me what they wanted you to do. I said, fly her via air evac to UAB. I'm on my way. And best I can tell, talking to the staff there, you beat me to UAB by about 15, 20 minutes. But I was nauseous all the way.
Yeah. Billy Bowman said, we know Lee has a medical career. Is there anything he didn't want to do in your recovery process? Or anything you didn't want him to do as your caregiver husband? As far as me, I did not want him in there helping change my diaper. I was adamant about that, but I didn't get my way. So he did help with that, but
Only a few times.
But she asked, is there anything that you didn't want to do in my recovery process?
The only thing I didn't want to do, I did not have to do. I did not want to run the call, run the scene. Had I been at work instead of camping, that was my call. I would have been there. It was the first call of the day. I would have run the call. I would have been having to take care of my wife and put her on a helicopter. And yes, I'm very glad I didn't have to do that. A lot of people that I trust were there and did do it. You can't help but be concerned and worried, are they doing it right? But I know these people and I knew they did. And I'm decent at what I do, but I did not want to do that with my wife. So I'm glad I was not there for that.
Jessica Mobley says, what's your family dynamics? Does Lee have kids? Lee does not have kids of his own. I have a 17 and 18-year-old from a previous marriage. I don't put them on here just because I have one child that really doesn't want to be on social media, and then I have the other child that's fine with it, and I just, as a mom, I want to protect them from, I get hateful comments. Like, I got a hateful comment yesterday, and I would probably not handle it well if there were hateful comments coming about my kids. So I just kind of, for right now, they're not going to be on YouTube. They have their own social medias, and even if I post a picture on like Facebook or something, I ask their permission before I do it, just because they are old enough to have their own thoughts, and they may or may not want their pictures on the internet, and same thing goes for YouTube. So I just kind of have a general rule that unless there's some sort of exception, I don't put them on here.
And you know, mine or not, if somebody was to post something negative or inappropriate about one of them, I'd lose my mind. I'd be done with this.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, like yesterday, I got that comment from that person about something about, oh, you're still making money off your accident? Like, yeah, dumbass, I'm rolling in dough from my accident. Like, what? Anyways, Mary Bell asked, When did Lee realize that you were going to be okay / would live a new normal? How is Lee doing with partial retirement? How are y'all doing after losing Lee's mom?
Wow, that's a mouthful. I breathed a very large sigh of relief, probably 36 to 42 hours after the accident, because that's when the surgeon called to tell me the surgery was over and how it went, and that it went well. And kind of round the way to get there, he told me eventually, if nothing else goes wrong from here, she should be near normal in 1 to 2 years. And I realized then, not only was she going to survive, but they checked her after the surgery and she was not a quad. Everything worked, so that was good. And I felt better. It was still hard, it still sucked, but I knew my wife was alive and she wasn't going to be a vegetable, so we can move on and plan for whatever else.
And then you went through it all again with hydrocephalus.
Yes, I did, but that is what it is. The partial retirement has been nothing short of spectacular, and I do miss being at the fire department with my guys. I do not miss running the calls, particularly the middle of the night, but I do miss being with my guys. But now, instead of spending 1/3 of my life at home, I am spending 2/3 of my life at home with my wife and kids. My life is good. I'm glad I did it. I did my part. I'm done. My mom, it's kind of an interesting thing that has actually been a subject today with me and her sister, but I know it's the natural course of things, but where her house joined on to ours and where my bathroom was, I had to walk to where I could see her sitting on her love seat every time I went to the restroom. And whether it was twice a day or 10 times a day, every time I walked by and looked at her, she'd look at me and grin and wave. And now, what, 8 months later?
No, she died in April. It's September,
Okay. Well,
May, June, July, 5 months.
okay, 5 months
Not
later.
even 5 months.
5 months later. I can't walk by there without looking for that smiling face, and I don't see it, and that is the worst part. It sucks. I don't like it. I know it's part of it, but it sucks.
As for me, I hate seeing him struggle with that. I'm glad that she's not suffering anymore, but obviously now I choose to focus on like the good memories that we had with her, like when I showed the prank with I can't talk. The prank where she kept wetting Grayson's hair.
Oh, she's so funny.
So I just try to think about those things, but the last few months with her were very, very difficult. And it was really hard to be a part of, hard to watch. It was just awful all the way around, but there is some relief that she's not suffering anymore, but of course we miss her. And Bailey, it's like she's still here sometimes because Bailey mimics her still. He said earlier in her voice, he said, "Roll Tide." So we still kind of get to
not only her, but my stepdad as well, Doodle. Half what he says is in her voice and half of it's in his.
It's like they're ghosts are in our house.
I still hear them, and it's almost like if you dial a loved one's cell phone that has passed and get their voicemail and you hear their voice. Well, ours is in that cage over there. We hear it 2-3 times a day, whether you want to or not.
I would like to say thank you to everybody for all of the kind and supportive comments that you guys leave, and for understanding that by me talking about everything that's happened, it's helping me I feel like it's a healthy way for me to process it and move on instead of continuously going to other people that were involved. This is like it's a therapeutic outlet for me. It's also a creative outlet.
Why don't you tell him what happened yesterday at the store?
Okay. So I did want to say thank you guys for that. The positive comments are really very much overwhelm the few negative ones, but sometimes the negative sticks in your mind a little bit more, and I'm really secure in who I am and my reasons for doing this. So it doesn't change that, but it just sucks that there's people out there that will just want to think the worst of you. I don't like that, but
Just like to be fugly.
yeah. So until you've walked a mile in the shoes, just keep your mouth shut. Like, you get paid on YouTube by views. So if you're not watching, I don't get paid. So if you have a problem with it, don't watch.
And when you do get paid, you're not getting rich.
No, no. Like, I responded to the comment. Like, yeah, I'm rolling in dough now, idiot. Like, whatever. But, you know, a lot of people have accidents and they sue somebody and get millions of dollars. I'm not gotten millions of dollars. I haven't even gotten a fraction of what I worked at my full-time job. I haven't even made enough on YouTube to cover the cost of all the equipment I've bought to do the YouTube. So
Anyway, tell them what happened yesterday. That was entirely cool.
So yesterday, Lee and I rode our bikes. He rode the bike, I rode my trike down to the store, the campground store or state park store. And I had Bailey. So I parked under a tree that was in the shade, and there were a couple of guys on motorcycles resting right there. And I told them, if you hear weird noises, it's the birds, you're not going crazy, because Bailey was going to talk to them. So we went in the store, and I came back out, and we got to talking, and long story short, the one guy we found out was at the scene of my wreck. He was there that day. He was on scene when I was still
On the guardrail.
on the guardrail. Didn't see the wreck, but he was there right after. So
First person on scene.
He was present for the whole thing. He asked about my dad. He asked about Lee. And he was just saying how glad he was to see me now, because they never found out what happened to me. And come to find out, he lives less than 5 minutes away from us. I don't even think we got his name. Did we get his name?
No, we didn't, but he is part of the Cheaha Council, yes.
Yeah.
And he said the whole council had no idea what had happened with you, so he was going to forward that message.
Yeah, so that was a complete coincidence, and
one of the mountain disasters that actually has a positive ending.
Yeah.
Because there's too many of them up here that don't.
But we have thoroughly enjoyed this camping trip. I love Cheaha State Park.
It's impressive.
It's been a uneventful trip in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thank you guys so much again for all of the support. You guys don't even realize just the quiet support, the kind comments and all of that have really...
How therapeutic it is.
It's been so therapeutic for me to do this YouTube channel, and it's given me not just the talking about what happened to me, but just learning how to edit video and things like that. Learning a new skill has been good for me. It's been good for me all around. So
making new friends.
Yes. So thank you guys for that. I think we are about to go hop on the bikes and go for another little ride since it's our last night. And I will see you guys very soon.